Hi, Soul being absolutely beautiful every time. This is your host, Sweet Venus on the Mothership. This story is going to be a little bit more personal because that's a big one for me, and it's also a celebration for myself for how far I've come. And I know when I started this YouTube channel, it was very organic and I was less put together because I was in the thick of it. So a couple years ago, around 2017, I had a Kundalini awakening, and I was in the depths, the darkest time of my life because I just had depression, crazy depression. I wake up to voices, to negative thoughts. The voices hadn't begun yet. Um, I was just so depressed. And I was in the middle of I was in college, and I fell out of love with school. And I was having an awareness of like, oh my gosh, my, I, my spiritual amnesia was coming off, where I was realizing that I could tell the difference between my ego needs and my soul's needs. And we're going to be talking more about that. I talk about it in some of these AI videos I've been having fun creating. You can learn more about it. I think there's 2 videos before this one. But I could tell that, I could tell where my ego where my ego was leading me towards, which is why I created my major. It was to please my parents. It was to fit into society. It was to make money. But I knew that that path was depressing. I knew that path um, would lock me in, would dampen my spirit, my soul. And but that was the easiest path out. It was plain. It was just apply for jobs, finish the major, go apply for a desk job. And just the thought of it, I was like, hell no, absolutely not. And the other path was just to take it day by day and pay attention to where my soul was taking me, which was mostly to rest because I was like hustle mode. I was constantly working. I was in I was in masculine energy all of the time. I didn't know how to balance the dance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine within me. Everybody has these energies, masculine energy and feminine energy, which is I was doing from doing. I wasn't doing from being, which is there's a difference to that, right? So we are human beings. We're not human doers, but I was being a human doer consistently. So of course I became burnt out. I couldn't in class. I just couldn't even stay awake. All I wanted to do was sleep because I I didn't have the energy, and my body just wanted to sleep all the time. And that's where I felt the most rest because most of the time, when I woke up, it was just negative voice, and the negative voices were consistent. I was creating narratives about how other people saw me. I had narratives about myself when I looked at myself in the mirror. I had narratives about my past, and narratives about everything. I was constantly criticizing myself. So I was creating negative energy. I was waking to negative energy, and this was before I knew I was a creator, like everybody else, right? I was still in that mind control and that mind programming through the monkey mind. Um, and I believed I was my thoughts. So I was becoming one with my thoughts. I was very dense. I was very into it, into my mind. I wasn't in my body, right? And I wasn't aware this was a trauma response. I'm learning about this. I took psychology classes. And of course, naturally, I went to therapy. My friend was like, "You need to go to therapy." I come from a culture where um, mental health is taboo, mental illness is taboo. So I was like, I'm not crazy." She's like, "No, it's not about the fact that you're crazy. It's the fact that you need somebody to talk to about these sensitive, very personal things going on." So I recommend going to therapy if this is you. There's a lot of free resources. I will remember to put a link here. I found a couple of online free resources. If you're on Tumblr, they have a free resource um, in the chat rooms. They're free people. I know because um, I volunteered. I also used them. Um, and there's a link I'm going to put under the video that has free resources in all over the world. So you can hop on there too. Because I believe mental health care should be free for everybody. Because I believe that there's so much tabooness because people who are looking at it are looking at it from the outside. It's not people who are going through it, right? And anybody can go through this. I didn't have voices when I was younger until this happened. So of course, when I started having these negative voices, um, I was aware, like my body, I was out of my body. I was seeing my body from up here. So I was literally here. I was looking at myself like an avatar. I was like, oh yeah, that's me down there. I disassociated, right? Um, and a whole bunch of drama happened after that. Me realizing there was trauma. This is why I was out of my body, but a lot of spiritual stuff started happening. I had my first vision. That's when I started realizing that I had actually a psychic gift. I saw vision. And of course, naturally, when you tell people about this, I was so excited because it was so ethereal. It was out of this world. This is when I first believed. No one could tell me. I didn't have to have pastors or other people telling me that God is real. I knew God was real after that. Of course, I always knew God was real. I always knew there was more to life because, I mean, come on. Do we make rivers? Do we make trees? You know what I mean? So, but that experience, I was like, yeah, that did it for me. Duh, there's something more. Life is mystical. And ever since I was high off that, but coming off that mystical experience, and coming back to reality, it became so depressing because I felt separate from God. I felt separate from love because when that mystical experience happened, all I felt was bliss, and it was the most amazing feeling ever. And then I came back, and then the voices became more evident because it was night and day. I could feel energy going up and down my spine. I was shaking, so the Kundalini is also known as the Holy Spirit, right? Like when people are getting prayed for, you can see it for people who are not acting. It's real, it's Kundalini energy, it's Holy Spirit, it's life force coming from the bottom of your spine, coming up and creating more and more and more. And we live in a society where they want to keep your Kundalini down. That's why we have a lot of lust. That's why we have a lot of the P word, Pornhub, because they want to keep your life force. They want you to just take out your life force. That's where there's a lot of like scrolling on that mindless scrolling because it keeps your life force down. That's why they have food that poisons you because when you don't have a healthy container, your life force is being used to keep you alive, right? So all of that, I was becoming more aware of that. The information was coming up because I was waking up from the spiritual amnesia. Like, oh, I'm not my mind. I'm not my past. I'm not my circumstances. I'm more. But of course, it's a that was 7 years ago, and now I can say like, oh yeah, I can confidently say I'm not my mind. I know that. But back then, it was just a theory. It was just ooh, that feels good. I was listening to my soul urges, what was going on within me. I was like, ooh, that information. I was going down the rabbit hole. I was like, ooh, that's freeing. That's freeing. That's freeing. That resonates as truth, right? So yeah, the voices became louder. So I couldn't even go to classes. All I had to do, the voices forced me to go into meditation. So this was the first gift. It forced me to go into meditation. It forced me to because the other option was I knew like, man, if I was to go and tell the therapist like, yeah, I'm having voices, they're gonna put me on medication and they're probably gonna put me in a strap jacket. So I was like, I'm gonna look for another alternative. So I did my own research on the schizomind and what other people were experiencing. And I was like, you know what, considering that I'm a conscious creator, right? This is when the information started flocking in with the research. I was just going down to the truth. I was like, I just want the truth. What is the solution? What can I do? So I started meditating, listening to binaural beats. I would sleep to binaural beats. I would uh, sleep to affirmations. We'll speak more about that. I became vegan for like 3 to 6 months. I changed my diet, cut out dairy, meat, and I could feel a difference. Um, and I would hang out in nature more. And it became so evident through this that, hey, all these friends are just like egoic friends. They're just like friends for just kicking, for just laughing, but they're not really there for me. Because when I really needed them, most of them were not there. There were one or two who were there for me. And that was really humbling because it showed me the truth. And I talk about this in my book, 21 Days to Getting to Know Yourself in 21 Days. I should also link that below. About how somebody taught me this in college, and I was like, oh my gosh, everybody needs to know this. So you're an atom, right? And atoms have rings around them. So you're a nucleus, right? So you've got an atom in an atom. There's a nucleus, and then there's electrons around it. I hope I'm not butchering. I haven't been in biology in a minute. Chemistry, but the electrons around it. So you're a nucleus. You're the main character, and the electrons are the people in your field, um, in your reality, right? In your life. And actually, I'm just going to drop the video on this. I've actually recorded it for my free group. You can find the link below. It's called How to Create an Emotional Safety Network. I'll probably just delete it in the group and share it here for everybody, where I go in depth about this. But the people you put who are in the first electron ring might not have you in your first electron ring. But I'm going off on a tangent. But people place you in different electron rings, how close they can be to you. So I might be assuming that just because we're cool, we hang out every night, that you are in my first electron, in my first ring, right? But they might see you like in the fourth ring, but just because you're convenient, maybe because you tolerate their BS, maybe because I don't know, you're just somebody they get to spend time with because this is just the chapter of their life where they have space for you, right? So we never know, but this is why you want to love unconditionally instead of conditionally. Because when you love and have friendship conditionally, you become resentful. But when you just say, hey, this is what I'm willing to give, this is where I just think you're cool, you're awesome, and we can hang out without being attached to how it will manifest, and allowing time to show you who they really are, and actually say, actually, you can stick around, right? But okay, I went off on a tangent. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so the voices. So the voices were coming from left, right, center, man. It was in here, but as I'm speaking right now, if I was speaking to you right now and I was having the voices would be louder than my own voice. That's how crazy they were. And it was to the point where I would stop breathing. I would be so tense. It was crazy. And even thinking about it right now I don't even have the voices, and I didn't go on medication. I didn't go to the therapist because I was like, I'm not going to psychiatry, no thank you. I'm good. I took the sovereignty path. So the voices forced me, gift number 2, they forced me to claim my sovereignty, my autonomy, to become a conscious creator, to come back to stillness, to come back to my God-given throne. So even though in that moment I was a victim of my mind, I was a victim of these voices, I had no choice. So in that moment, I remember, and I keep saying the moment because it's just time, space, reality, right? So I remember telling myself that I have 2 options. It's either like I bow out of my life and just end it here, or I can make this bigger than me. And I remember having this inner dialogue with me. So even with the voices going on, I could tell which one was my voice. I could tell which one was my voice, but the voices wouldn't shut no matter what. They were always there, no matter what. They were always there. So, but I could tell that my inner voice was there. So I said that if I can show other people how to do this, I'm gonna push through. If I can lead myself out of this and help other people to do this, I'm gonna pull through. And that's what I did. I started blogging. I started writing every day on my Facebook. If you don't know, my Facebook is Sri Venus, SRI Venus author. You can find me there. I'm there. I blog almost every day on there. I help you do all of this that I'm sharing here. I started my YouTube channel a couple years later when the voices were still there, but I was mostly blogging. So it was my spirit, my higher self. I was channeling my higher self, and I was writing everything that I had to do, right? That you're not your thoughts. Keep leaning into the positive. Spend time in nature, right? Because you want to raise your vibration. The things that you're doing that are keeping your vibration low actually not helping you, are not supporting you. They're just amplifying these voices. So you want to do more things that actually pour into you. You want to do more things that are loving, and you want to be more patient because you have one more thing against you, which are the voices, right? And it's not everybody has these voices. So you want to keep that in mind, that you want to stop comparing how your life, where you are, to other people because you have more odds against you, right? And you, to be honest, you have a different path that you're being initiated into. So that's the other gift. It's the gift of upgrading from your human mind to your soul mind. So when I was going through the thick of it, this was an initiation. This was a curse. I was like, oh my gosh, like my life is over. Like, who would want to hang out with me? You know, that kind of thing. But now I'm connecting to my soul's mind. My soul's mind is the highest perspective of any situation. My soul is my eternal self. This liveness you're seeing here, right? When you're gone, there's nothing here. It's just the body, right? So the soul is what animates my body. My spirit is what's connected to, it tethers me to all of life, right? To the eternal oneness. So my soul's mind sees the biggest picture, the higher picture of anything. But we are here for human experience, so we're gonna have both. Well, when I was having these voices, when I was having my default state of being was negative thinking. My soul's mind was a silent whisper. It was a whisper, and I had to be still for me to say, wait, what was that? I felt, it felt lighter, and the voice felt neutral. It was always kind. It poured into me, but it always told me, like, do this, do that, do that, do that, right? And this is why you want to always stay still. You want to meditate often. You want to be mindful. You want to live a mindful life because you want to stay in alignment with that voice, because that voice is your guidepost. That voice is your tower light, right? So I started hearing that voice. I was like, ooh, okay. And that's how I started prioritizing my soul's needs over my ego's needs. And I always share on my blog post, like, you got to prioritize your soul's needs over your ego's needs, because your ego is limited. Your ego is usually, when you're not conscious of your own trauma, of your own programming, it's creating stories from that programming. It's creating stories from the stories you're collecting from the comment section, the stories you're collecting from your monkey mind, right? There's no consciousness. And of course, you want the ego I'm talking about. is different. There's a nuance here. It's different from your sense of self, right? Everyone has a sense of self. And of course, when I was having this, the monkey voices, I started losing my sense of self, because that I had an identity attached to who I was gonna be. I was gonna be. I was working on my cybersecurity major. I was like, oh, I'm gonna be a cybersecurity. I'm gonna be a hacker. I'm gonna make this much money. I post pictures, fly pictures on the internet. I'm fly. I had an identity of myself, and that was the identity I was moving through my in college with, because there was no depth. I didn't know myself, but I knew myself based off what I did, not based off who I was being, not based off who I knew myself. I didn't know myself. I didn't spend time with myself. I spent more time with other people, trying to have them like me, trying to fit in, and then coming back and feeling less than, because I didn't meet all of the other people's external needs. I was like a chameleon. I was always changing, and there was never enough. So that was the programming I had, that, hey, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough. So I need to do more. I need to do more. What more can I do? What more can I do? Right? So I was always in the do. I couldn't rest. And when I rested, I felt guilty. I was like, no, this is not right. So I had to burn out. But that burnout lesson, I didn't learn it the first time. It had to happen a couple of times. And the last time it happened, it took me 4 years to come out of it. It took me a while to come out of it. I had no choice. I couldn't. I couldn't. I had no energy. All I could do is just go to the beach and just sit there. Even reading a book, it took so much energy. It was like, it felt like I was straining myself. So why I do this is like, I know I've gone the wrong path, and I'm coming back. I'm like, no, actually it's this way. Right? So, okay, I lost my train of thought. Where was I? Right. So the gifts. So it's all about connecting to your soul's mind, and realizing your soul will never lead you astray, and realizing that your soul is eternal. Your soul sees the bigger picture always. So when you're going through it, your ego's like, oh my gosh, this doesn't look right. I thought it was going to go this way. I had a whole plot line, right, for how my life was going to go. But your soul's like, yeah, that's nice, but I have a better plot line, because it sees the bigger picture. But your ego is limited, because it's concerned with its identity. But you're eternal. This is not the only identity you have. You have more identities you get to explore, right? And it's all attached to these desires that you have. Like, oh, I want to experience this. But there's a difference between your ego's desires and your soul's desires. And this was my biggest lesson, really. It was to decipher between my ego's desires and my soul's desires. Every time I wanted my ego's desires, I suffered more. I suffered more, because it was always created from separation. It was always created from the fact that I'm not enough. It was always about trying to prove a point, always trying to compensate for something that I was missing within. Whereas my soul's needs, it was coming from wholeness, from fullness, from wanting to pour and love my most authentic self, my present self. Now. It was always about now. My ego's needs, it was all about the future, like what it's gonna look like, how other people, I'll finally prove other people and they'll be sorry. It was all about that. It's coming from hurt. So I could feel it in my body. There was a difference. So because I was burnt out, and because I was so tired of this yucky energy, I was so depressed, I was so dense. Of course, I was dense because I believed every thought that was coming through my mind. I was one with it. So of course I was dense. I wasn't light. Where I talk about shadow body and light body. Your light body is when you're detached from thought. You're just the observer. You're just watching them fly by like clouds, right? You're just like, oh, okay. Right? Like they're just floating. You're not attached. And when you're attached to them, you know what to do, because you got your toolkit. to help you do that. And this is something I help you with, mostly in the darkness to radiance pathway, helping you build your own tailored toolkit. So toolkit could be something, it's anything that helps you take care of your four bodies, your emotional body, right? Your mental body. We're mostly talking about mental body here in this video. Spirit body, right? Which is your eternal self, and your physical body, right? So when you have habits that don't take care of these bodies, you keep feeling, you feel worse, you feel gross, right? And when you're not conscious, you look for something or someone to blame. But when you see, like, when things don't get better and they keep getting worse, you have to look like, maybe it's right? And that gift, I think we're now on gift 4 or gift 5, that gift of taking responsibility for your own energy and the choices you make for these 4 bodies, it empowers you. Either empowers you or disempowers you, depending on where you're trying to lean towards your shadow body or light body, because this is where you want to make the choice. You're always making a choice. You're always making a choice, whether passively or proactively. You're making a choice either way. Passiveness is a choice too. No one's going to come and save you. So when you're passive, you're not doing anything. You're like, oh, someone's going to come and help me. You're going to be staying there. Another year is going to fly by. Another year is going to fly by and you're still in the same place. And your grave is coming closer and closer and closer, because if you're not living, guess what? Where you're heading? You're just watching other people live their life, or you're going to be in that squad that complains and blames other people for your own problems. So I had to really face the music. I'm like, ooh, what's mine? Right? What's mine? What's not mine? And this was really difficult for me because I came out of a family that was very enmeshed, right? We were very codependent. We were taught to be codependent. But my parents' emotions were my emotions. I wasn't allowed to have my own emotions. I wasn't allowed to express my own my emotional independence. I wasn't allowed to even have a journal. I got in trouble for having a journal. So it was very enmeshed. So now individuating myself from my family and learning how to live as an individual being and thriving as an individual being, it was like learning how to crawl and walk again. It was difficult. So it was a lot of like tumbles and turns. So imagine I'm going through this plus the psychosis. And then I ended up, I had 4 jobs. It was crazy. It was crazy. But I'm sharing this because I'm like, if you're going through this, of course, when you click on this video, it's because you're going through this. I want you to know that there's a way out. And I did it without any pills. I did it just holistically by just doing these things, by focusing on my soul and listening to my soul, staying still with myself, prioritizing my mental well-being, and putting that ego on the side. Have the ego death. It's not worth it. And you're going to have a couple of ego deaths anyway, because you're soul being, your spiritual being having a human experience. The ego is just an idea of yourself. You're everything and nothing at the same time. So yes, the ego death is going to hurt you because you thought this is who you were. But guess what? You're much more than that. That was just like a little drop of an idea of who you could be, of who you came here to manifest as. You uniquely came to manifest as. And the ego self is not the enemy. It's a teacher. It's here to teach you and to show you patterns of how you're choosing to manifest, because we manifest through patterns, right? And the patterns are meant to show you like, oh, this is who I believe I am. This is what I believe is only available for me. This is how I believe life goes for me. This is what I believe about men. This is what I believe about women. It's showing you what you believe, what your programming is. And when you become still, when you prioritize taking care of yourself, pouring into yourself first, prioritizing your well-being first, instead of giving from an empty cup, which I did for a long time, which is what also caused my burnout, because I was giving out of an empty cup. When you pour into yourself and give from an overflow by just being, from just being, right? There's a shift in quality of life. You start attracting so much more help and support. Strangers treat you even better than people you know. That's just how it is. That's your soul tribe, right? Because you came within your stillness. Soul tribe, it's never transactional, right? Of course, life, you need, it's give and take, right? But when you're at rock bottom, when you're at the low, people just want to help. People need purpose. So just like how for me to keep fighting, I was like, you know what? I'm going to make this bigger than me. I'm going to make this about somebody else. I'm going to fight this battle for somebody else so somebody else can win too. I made this bigger than me. That's what gave me reason and purpose. So I could never stop showing up for Mental Alchemy Academy because that seed was planted in that moment with the voices. It began when I was in there known all by myself, but I made this simple decision to make this bigger than myself. So that's the other gift. It gives you purpose. It helps you clarify why you're here, to remember why you're here. It gives you superpowers to come back and realize you're never alone. Even though whilst you're going through it, it's dark and it's lonely, and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm ruined, I'm not normal, right? You're having all these stories. They're just stories, by the way. They're just stories. Because your inner voice is the pen that you're writing your life story about with. And these voices, they're just voices. They just, it doesn't mean anything. But you can make it mean whatever you want it to mean. Like I chose to make it about, hey, this is about Mental Alchemy Academy. Okay, so I'm gonna sit still and channel, right? Channeling is just pulling down taking whatever's coming my way and creating whatever I want to create from it. So that might look differently for you, right? What that genius that is trying to be manifested through is all about. So all these voices, I started having themes for them. I was like, oh, there's a theme here. What are the voices saying? I started becoming more curious. I connected with my inner child. I was like, oh, okay, I accept where I am. I accept what's going on. There's no more resisting. I can't gaslight myself out of this. I can't reject myself. I can't feel sorry for myself anymore because no one's going to come and save me, right? So I was like, okay, let's document everything. Let's document everything. And I was continuously pouring into myself, drinking water, speaking to my water, speaking life into my water, right? Saying everything that I wanted to pour into me, right? And there's a lot of documents. I forgot about that Japanese scientist who did a document on water. Just look up Japanese water scientist. You'll find more information on that. Yeah, when you speak to water and you drink it, because you're mostly water, you'll become that, right? So this is why I love EFT. If you don't know EFT, I talk about it here all the time, and I'll never stop talking about it because it changed my life. It's about emotional freedom technique. And the beauty about it, it reprograms your mind and also regulates your nervous system. It's just 2-in-1 combo. I love it, right? So like EFT, right? So you're reprogramming your mind, but there's water within you. So you're charging your water with the tapping, right? You will be with the emotional freedom technique. You're just tapping all over and affirming the thoughts you're having, affirming the beliefs and assumptions you're creating life from. And then from there, accepting yourself and then pivoting the story into something that you want to experience instead, into loving yourself unconditionally, into accepting yourself unconditionally, into embracing yourself unconditionally, right? And you're charging your water. And they always encourage drink water afterwards because it's all about engaging the mental and emotional body. They're aligning the mind body, right? And a lot of people are leaving from a disconnected mind and heart because they're following their ego instead of actually listening to what's really going on within. They're performing their life instead of actually living it authentically, which is what I was not doing. I wasn't living it authentically. I was living an idea of myself because I was more focused with the external world than I was with the internal world. And you wanna the voices forced me to come within because I didn't have voice, I didn't have energy, and I didn't have this confidence to go out externally because these voices were just crazy. So it forced me to come within and come in stillness and be more and actually focus on what I needed moment to moment. I couldn't live in the future. I couldn't future fake. I had to live in the present moment. I had to live moment to moment. It was just literally moment to moment. Because that's all I could carry. That's all I could do. So it taught me to be present, divinely present, to be mindful, to connect to my breath, to really listen to my four bodies and curate a toolbox, curate a toolbox that aligned with my four bodies, what my four bodies need. And I can't share everything that's within my toolbox because this is curated to my needs, based on on my programming, based um, on what's going on, right? Because it's different moment to moment. And of course, it's all a process. The other gift is six, I guess. Gift six is it helped me fall in love with myself again. It helped me have my back, to realize that I've got my back no matter what. Help me realize that no matter what, I'm gonna be okay. Because I'm the alpha and omega of all my thought forms. Because I decide what thought to hold on to and what thought to let go of. It's within my control. And then I can create a toolbox based on the thoughts that are the most dominant to help me unplug them. I shared one of them is EFT. EFT, I believe everybody needs to learn that because that's just mwah. The other one is grounding, taking off my shoes. I know a lot of people, I used to laugh at people who used to hug at trees. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at these hippies. I'm the biggest tree hugger you can find out there because it's grounding. Trees are grounded. So just being with trees, it teaches you how to be grounded in your body, how to be grounded in your energy, and how to actually hear your soul's mind, your soul's voice becomes clear, becomes louder. And a lot of people are ignoring this voice. And this is what we call selling your soul. When you ignore the voice and choose to go with the monkey mind, to go with just this, with just your human mind, which is limited, which always keeps you down here. You can't tap into your genius. You can't tap um, into your unlimited self. It's all about it's all about taking from others so you can get something. It's all about um, dark forces, dark energies. It's never about the light. Whereas listening to your soul, it frees you. It frees you from the imprisonment of your mind. It frees you um, from your past, from your circumstances. I mean, going hungry for a couple of days, you're not going to die. A lot of people, it's actually encouraged. That's my other tool in my toolbox is fasting, intentionally or unintentionally, because it's actually good for you. It not giving you not giving your body just no all the time, and just allowing yourself to be hungry, you actually become stronger, become resilient, which is what you actually need to overcome these voices. It's training you to become emotionally and mentally resilient. And no matter what comes through your life, it's like a training ground. That's why I like to think of it. My soul's mind likes to think of it. It's a training ground for emotional and mental resilience. Because once you overcome that, it's nothing, no voices can formed against you can, you know what to do again. So yeah, I just started journaling all these thought forms, everything, all the voices that were coming up. And in contrast to that, I would write in a different color, or on a different page, different, the opposite of those thoughts, or a higher perspective. So the schizo voices, right? All the negative voices, I wrote them down, and then I would surrender to my soul's mind to give me a positive statement. Because some positive statement, let's say the schizo voice say, "Oh, everyone's going to die. Your loved ones are going to die," and then you say, "Oh, no one's going to die." There's a part of you that's not going to believe it, right? Even though it's positive, you're not going to believe it because we're all going to die, right? It's the nature of life. But when you're doing this, I want you to really connect to the reality of it, to really connect to your authenticity. Because when you're very authentic, that's where your soul thrives. Your soul thrives in authenticity, right? So you're like, oh yeah, the cycle of life. I'm afraid of the cycle of life. Um, but that's not within my control. What's within my control is just enjoying time with them and prioritizing loving them, prioritizing actually getting to know who they are, right? There's less resistance there. It's neutral. It makes you feel a little bit better. And that's what we want. We want you to feel a little bit better. So even though you're not affirming all the time about this, it's just giving you insights and perspectives that help you feel better about what the voices are throwing at you. So each time they come, they're not going to hurt you as much. They're just like, right? So we want to do that over and over and over again. So every time these voices come, keep writing them down and sit still and really connect to your authentic self. And then even if it means like meditating for a little bit, just sitting still for a little bit while. I love doing this in nature where no one can bother you, or listening to water sounds. Like I love putting videos of water, just listening to water, right? Or binaural beats. But you just want to be relaxed, and then write them down, and then connect to your soul's mind and see a perspective that helps you feel better about the voices. So you want to keep doing this over and over and over again. And on top of that, our physical body, you want to keep moving. You want to keep, even if it's like for a hot minute, move. Excuse me. You want to move, right? Shake a little bit. And then each day, challenge yourself, because no one's saving you. Again, no one's coming to save you but you. You're the superhero of this story. Keep moving, even if it's 2 minutes tomorrow. By the end of the month, you probably do 30 minutes of walking, right? It'll be growth. It's going to feel uncomfortable, but you want to make your physical body stronger again, right? So your physical body, you're looking after it, fasting, healthier foods. Get rid of these foods you don't know what they are, like especially ingredients that are like you don't even know what that is. That's probably what's causing feeding these voices, because you don't even know what these ingredients are, right? If you can't pronounce it, ditch it. Right? So your physical body, your spirit body, said mindfulness and meditation. Also listening to what makes you feel good. And I'm not talking about what makes you feel good, like sugar, no, and coffee. Mm-mm. I'm talking about what makes you feel good, as in your spirit feels good, right? It makes you feel lighter. It makes you feel relief. It makes you feel stillness. It helps you feel detached from your mind. That's what I'm talking about. Your emotional body, I recommend, and mental body, I recommend EFT and also the journaling. Um, and also, oh my goodness, breath work. Breath work, it'll help you with your spirit, to help you hear your soul's mind clearly, because you're vibrating at a higher consciousness. And then the voices, uh, they find it harder to attach you, to attach to you, because you're rising above them. If you're not going to do any of this, do breath work. Breath work number one. This is what single-handedly helped me, like, move faster. All of this, it just helps you integrate it into your purpose, integrate it into actually getting to know yourself, integrate it to more autonomy, right? Because even after you rise above, you got to do something with it, right? You got to do something with it. So breathwork, the different breathwork styles, right? Right now I'm enjoying Sandy breathwork. Yeah, look up Sandy breathwork. He has different kinds of breathworks. Or if you're a beginner, I recommend Wim Hof. It's 11 minutes, and I know in the beginning it's a struggle. Sometimes even holding on to the breath, it takes a while. But yeah, just keep showing up. It works. It works. It works. It works. You just gotta keep at it, right? It's your mindset. Because if you're feeling into this victim so like, oh, you're gonna stay there forever. Guess what? You're planting roots, and that's gonna be your self-concept, your self-identity for life. And no one's coming to save you. We're gonna be out here living our best life, and you're here like, oh, right? So you want to take ownership of what's going on. Ownership. It doesn't feel good. Yeah, it sucks. This happens, but what are we gonna do about it, though? Right? You want to be proactive instead of being passive. Because I was in that victim sorry for a long time, and I wasted so much time. And I want better for you, because that's not the way. It's this way, right? So, okay, so power of acceptance and embracing your vulnerability and realizing, like, hey, I need help. And that was the other thing that made me heal slower, just because I was shutting the doors. I wasn't allowing people in. I wasn't allowing people to see me in my vulnerable state. But this is where you true connection is made. It's through vulnerability, actually allowing people in to help you, to support you. Because I know the ego doesn't like being around people who are smarter. At least, okay, I'll speak for myself. Not everyone thinks like this. No, not everyone's lower self speaks like things like this. I couldn't be around smarter people because I felt insecure. But I was working against myself, because be hanging around smarter people, it means that all your problems are always solved. There's always a solution, because they're smarter than you, right? They know something you don't know. And when you're closed off because you're like, I've got to be the smartest, right? Uh, guess who's dumber? Number one, right? So you want to surround yourself with smarter people, explore different YouTube channels, listen, and you want to connect with through your soul, because your ego is going to be like, ooh, I don't like that one because she has nicer clothes, but the truth is, that's your future self. That's your future self. The fact that you're feeling a little triggered, it means that's where you're growing towards. And I'm speaking from my soul's mind. But from your ego's mind, you won't see that, because you'll be like, oh, it's all about you, and it's all about limitation. It's all about, I have to win. She can't win. Nobody else can win. It's only me, right? So you want to pay attention to those nuances that are happening, because, of course, we want to progress forward as much as we're building your life force up and overcoming and transcending the voices and transmuting them into nothing. Well, now we're using your genius, or activating your genius, so you can transmute them into something for humanity, right? But we also want to pay attention to which sense of self you're creating yourself into, right? Well, you always have a sense of self that, oh yeah, I'm Sri Venus, I'm a writer, I'm a dancer, um, um, I enjoy music, I enjoy movies, right? The sense of self is always consistent because it's your personality, is just who you are. But I'm talking about the sense of self where I'm like, oh, this is who I'm growing into. I'm growing into a best-selling author. I'm growing into somebody who dresses up and looks sharp every day in the morning. I'm growing into somebody who's known as somebody who wears pearls, somebody who wears um, really good cologne, who smells good, right? You want to clarify who you're growing into, even though you might not have the resources and the means yet, right? Yet, I want you to add that word into your vocab if you don't have it yet. Yet, because your ego loves to say, like, I don't have this, and it's like finito, it's concluded. No, your soul doesn't do limited, your soul is limitless, right? So you don't have it yet. So you don't have it yet, but your mind, your soul is telling you like, ooh, that. Your soul is always shopping. Your soul is always telling you what's up. But when you're connecting to your soul through your ego, through your lower mind, um, it short circuits. It short circuits. So you wanna feel the discomfort of being around people who are further ahead than you, people who are smarter than you, and allow that to be the growing pains of who you're becoming, right? Um, yes. So coping mechanisms, right? So you want to be really honest with the things that you're doing, right? I talked about the choices and habits that you're doing that are draining your four bodies, that are taking away from your alignment with your soul, with your spirit, with your limitless self. So that might be, for me, it was drinking, right? Because I don't know how to connect with these big emotions. I didn't know how to, um, how to express myself, how to connect with myself, because I never had the safe space to do that. Um, all I knew was to numb, because that was the coping mechanism I adopted to adjust in our household. So now that you are out of it, and I'm assuming as I'm speaking that you are in a place where you can um, create a sense of self, you can support yourself, and you're surrounded by people who want that for you. And if you don't yet, you attract that. It's an intentional choice. It's an intentional invite. You're like, you know what? I want better for myself. This environment is not helping me. It's not helping pour into me. So I'm gonna change my environment. I'm gonna change the people who I surround myself with, because I deserve better. I deserve people who support my peace. I deserve people who validate my emotions, validate my authenticity, who validate my individuality, who want to see me thrive and happy doing the things that I enjoy and love, that I have a natural gift for, right? So it's an intention, and that intention begins with um, praying, right? Saying like, and I love praying in gratitude, praying in saying thank you, already have it, because remember, you're still having a human experience, so it's limitless. So you're just like calling it in. You're just like, yes, bring it in, bring it in. Thank you for helping me. Thank you, mind, for helping me clarify that um, actually outgrown this person. I've outgrown this environment, even though I don't have the resources um, to escape this place. Actually, I would prefer a situation like this. And then you clarify it. What would help you thrive right now? Clarify. It doesn't matter how much money is in your bank account. It doesn't matter what's going on, the circumstances. It doesn't matter. Just clarify, like, okay, this is what will help me thrive right now. And then start saying thank you, thank you, thank you. And I love creating a little song, right? And putting on my little beats, like they're free beats so here on YouTube, and starting saying a song and really getting into it, right? And once you do that, and because you want to loosen up, you want to loosen, because when you're just so ingrained by your mind, like, oh, this is how it is, I'm doomed, going back into that victim story. We don't want to do that. We want to loosen, we want to be free. What you really are craving right now is to be emotionally and mentally free. So you gotta go first. You gotta do it first. You gotta choose it for yourself first, not being a victim to your mind, not being mentally and emotionally imprisoned. By choosing differently, by having things in your toolbox that help you pivot when you're becoming a victim, right? Because these are just patterns. This is your default state of being. So you gotta uh, be really on your neck to say, actually no, we're going this way. We're pivoting, right? Because you're training your mind to think differently, to perceive differently, to align with your soul's mind, right? So, um, let's see, what else? So yeah, you want to have strategies for managing these symptoms, these negative and thought patterns in your toolbox. Yeah, so I hope this helped you. I just wanted to create this video so for somebody out there to just challenge the stigma against mental health and schizomind. It's way it do- the voices don't mean anything. They're a gift, right? So it's all about deciding what the voices mean for you, what they are, and really tapping um, into your creativity to like wonder like, are these voices the characters of a movie that I'm creating? If that's your passion to be a filmmaker, are these voices characters of a book I'm writing? If you're a writer, are these voices um, muses for whatever I'm creating, right? It's all about that. From your soul's mind. Um, it's not about, oh, I'm crazy, I'm mentally ill, because that's just an identity, right? It's all about tapping into your soul's mind and freeing yourself from the mental prison. So, yeah, that's how you harness psychosis for creativity and innovation. And this is what I help you with in the darkness to radiance pathway. You can find more information below in the currently enrolling link. Right now, I have limited spots because it's one-on-one. We work on your case and I help you create your toolbox. I help you, um, uh, what do you call it, gather these voices, the information that you're receiving, and gather it and what do you call it? Put it in containers. You contain it so that it's easy to come back and actually start building your project. So you come in with your psychosis, with your voices, you leave with it collected and strategized and man, I'm losing my words. You leave it with different workbooks that help you to arrange your voices into themes, into ideas, so that you can actually go and build your project. So by the time you leave with me, you have a project in hand and you're fully transformed. You're a completely different person. And it's going to be a 1 year commitment because, of course, this is not an easy task, but I'm really passionate about it because I've done it. I've healed myself. And I want to make this a reality for other people. And I'm hoping everyone who comes through this course of action will be able to go and help other people too. So be like a trigger, right, into the world. Um, you can find the information below. And you're going to have a shadow alchemy manual that I'm not going to share with anybody else, where I tell you how to perceive. So it's a technology that helps you raise your consciousness to connect to your soul's mind. So you can actually understand the difference between your human mind and your soul's mind. And you can understand when to use your human mind and when to use your soul's mind, because they are both gifts, your lower mind and your higher mind. So I'll use them interchangeably between human mind and soul's mind. all have a role. Everything in your mind, everything you're experiencing, it has a role. It's all about self-acceptance and realizing that everything is working for you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And gathering all this information and rearranging it and sorting it. I was looking for that word, sorting. So once you sort this information and you sort it in your human mind, but you perceive it from your soul's mind, you see it differently. And when you connect to your soul purpose, when you clarify who you desire to help, what you enjoy, who you enjoy to help, you clarify that, it helps you move your energy forward. It helps you clarify where you're taking your life. Because when you're in your mind and you're being a victim, you're not going anywhere. You're just here, you're closing your energy, but we need you. The people out there who need your genius, who are waiting for your genius. And if you're watching this, you're probably one of the geniuses for New Earth, right? We're building a new Earth, we're building a healthier reality. And all these stories that you're gathering in your mind, they're waiting to be manifested into some brilliance. And I help you with that. So I hope this video helped you. I hope my personal story helps you feel convicted that you can do it too, because you can. You can. And I've been through hell and back. I know the wrong way and I know the right way. And this video, just you can watch it again and just listen to the gifts, listen to how you want to take care of your four bodies, how to pay attention to how your four bodies feel. They're always communicating to you every minute. So you want to stay in tune with that. You want to pay attention to that and prioritize your soul's needs over your ego's needs. But otherwise, this was fun. See you on the other side.